My name is Miki Kashtan, and this is the Conflict Hotline, where we work with situations from callers and from our experience, and support viewers in learning how to work out conflicts and communicate better. With me in the studio are Newt and Itzel, and together we're going to play with a variety of situations, such as this one that we call You're So Cheap, which features Roger and Sarah, who are a couple.
So Roger, Sunday's coming up. Where are we going to dinner?
The usual.
Are you serious? You're so cheap. It's Valentine's Day.
Don't call me cheap. You are so obnoxious.
What? It's Valentine's Day. We should live it up a little bit. I mean, this is a holiday.
Thank you. Anything like this ever happened to you in your life? If something like this or any other kind of situation has happened for you in your life that is a conflict, the purpose of this show is to support you in learning how to work out and grow in your capacity to work out situations in your life. The cast and some of the crew are affiliated with Bay Area Nonviolent Communication, and the rest of the crew are affiliated with Berkeley Community Media, which are also hosting the show and giving us access to the studio. We rely on calls from the audience, so if you would like to participate in this show, please call us today. And the number for this month is a little different from other numbers, from other months. The number is 510-848-5483. And please wait, if there's another caller on the line, please wait until they're done, because there's only one line here. And today we have a special focus because Valentine's Day is coming up. So we invite you in particular to call with situations that you might have with a partner or spouse, such as?
Maybe disagreements about money or how much time you spend together.
Or you might have disagreements about what you do when you are spending time together.
And you're also welcome to call with other conflicts. Let's go back to the scenario and see what we can do with it.
So, Roger, Valentine's Day is coming up. Sunday, what are we doing for dinner?
You know, the usual.
You're so cheap. It's Valentine's Day.
Don't call me cheap. You're just being obnoxious now.
No, I mean, this is a holiday where we're supposed to be celebrating love and companionship. Why don't we do something new and fun?
What?
Thank you. Let's pause for a moment. I don't have a sense that for either of you this conversation is moving towards what you want. Is it for you?
No.
Is it for you?
I don't think so.
So let's see what can happen that might actually bring you towards a place of more closeness and intimacy and the celebration that I'm sure you both want. Which one of you would like to kind of like stretch to see how to face this particular conflict?
I could try.
Okay, so where do you think is your first chance to do something different?
Well, as soon as he mentions that we're going to do the usual restaurant, as soon as he mentioned that, I got pretty upset. So at that moment.
Yeah. So what do you think will happen to him when you call him cheap?
He gets upset.
It's not, it seems pretty basic, but we constantly forget it. That if we call somebody names, they're not likely to want to give us what we want. It's going to have an effect on them, and we forget it. If it's somebody that we care about, we forget it. So, you want to try from the top?
Sure.
I'll sit with you and see
Okay.
what happens.
Okay, so Roger, Sunday, what are we doing for dinner?
You know, the usual.
Okay, I'm noticing that I'm getting really upset hearing you say that because it's Valentine's Day, and so I want to celebrate in a way that's special or different from the usual. And so I think maybe I just need to take a minute and gather my thoughts and figure out what exactly is happening for me. Do you mind hanging on for 1 second?
Sure.
I just, while you're doing this, I want to check in with you. Was that easier to digest than being called cheap?
Yes. Yes.
And what is tragic is when she said, "You're so cheap," that's really what she was trying to say. When she says you're so cheap, she's really trying to say, I want something special, I want to celebrate. But it doesn't come across that way.
Right, right.
I imagine that when you heard what she really wants, something happened inside of you that moved a little bit towards her. Did that happen for you?
Well, certainly I moved away less quickly.
Uh-huh. You're very good
I'm a
at
little
hearing criticism.
Yeah, I'm very
It's
good
not
at.
there.
Yeah, I'm expecting. It's still going to come, even though she's kind of whiffling about it or whatever. But I'm still imagining that it's coming.
Yeah. Part of what is going on is when we have habitual patterns in a relationship, even if one partner tries to break them, the other one is still expecting the same kind of communication, so they're going to fill in the gap. And sometimes those patterns are not even about this relationship. If somebody is habituated to hearing blame and criticism and name-calling from people, they're going to read into what you're saying, even if you're not saying it. So it takes quite a bit of persistence to kind of like transform the pattern so that he can hear what you are saying in this moment, separate from whatever he's used to. Did this give you enough time to
Yeah.
connect with yourself?
Yes.
So what did you discover?
Yeah. Well, I discovered that this relationship is really meaningful to me, and I wanted Valentine's Day to be an opportunity for us to really celebrate that. And so I wanted to do something that was unique and special. And so when I heard you say you wanted to do the usual, I felt really disappointed because I was hoping that you felt the same way.
And now just remember to make a request of him. What would you like him? I mean, you gave him so much about yourself. What would you like back?
Would you be willing to tell me how you feel about this relationship?
I feel good about the relationship. I mean, we're just talking about Sunday night dinner. I wasn't thinking about anything for dinner particularly.
I guess I was wondering if it's meaningful to you, and if celebrating it is something that would be enjoyable.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I guess so. Yeah.
Okay.
So what are you sensing when he's saying, all these things?
That those are maybe not his words that he would use to express whatever it is he's feeling, and I'm not sure how to get to that.
So what the sense that I get is that he's feeling awkward.
Okay.
Did I pick that up?
Mm-hmm.
Really, it's like the whole body is like a little bit like I don't know how to fit this into the me that I know.
Right.
But I also don't want to disappoint her again, having already disappointed her about my choice of dinner. Now I don't know what to do. So there's a way that I can imagine that your expression, as much as it's coming from the fullness of your heart, fills the space with you, and in some way doesn't leave room for him to have the experience that he's having and what's meaningful to him. It's like still somehow he's left with some idea that either he fits the bill that you're putting out as what's right, or else there's going to be some punishment. Did I read that accurately?
Yeah, it's like I've got to suddenly spontaneously be coming up with all these kind of gushy feelings, which I'm not particularly, that's not where I was. And now I've got to come out with meaning and everything, like maybe later I'll be there, but not in this moment,
Yeah. So there's a way when you ask him, is this relationship meaningful to you? There's a right answer and a wrong answer.
Right.
It's not an open, spacious question.
Right. I completely get that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we often do this. It's like we so much want something that will be shared, that we think we're inviting the other person, but we're actually kind of like pulling on them. Come on, be in this relationship with me, you know?
Yes.
So can you imagine at the end of saying all that you said?
Yeah.
I don't have any sense that there was any issue with what you said,
Right.
as long as it was you.
Right. Right.
So can you imagine something else that you could ask him to keep the dialogue going that will
yeah.
make room for him?
Yeah. There is something else that I want to know.
Mm-hmm.
So, would you tell me? Would you be willing to tell me what you heard me say?
Well, that you want to do something special for Valentine's Day, and that the regular place is not special enough.
Okay. And then there was another piece that I really wanted you to hear, which was that this relationship is important to me, and so I want to celebrate it.
Right, yeah, it's important to you, and you want to celebrate the relationship. Yeah, I heard that.
See, as I looked at him, it was still a tiny bit uncomfortable, but nowhere near as comfortable, because basically he was acknowledging your world. Mm-hmm. He wasn't being forced to enter that world, mm-hmm. right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that's a delicacy in terms of relationships, because essentially, on some level, I think that every relationship is cross-cultural.
Right.
Even if it's micro cross-cultural,
Right.
we each have our own little subculture, and what works inside of you and is obvious and seems like that's just the way it is, isn't necessarily like that for him. So in this way, you gave him a little bit more room to just acknowledge your reality instead of having to be part of it.
Yeah.
So I want to start again.
Okay.
And I want to invite you now to stretch. Are you game for that?
Yes, I'm ready.
So you're not going to have any consciousness.
No.
You're not going to remember anything.
Okay.
And so you're still going to call him cheap.
Okay.
And your task is to remember what I said about what she was trying to say when she said that.
Uh-huh.
To somehow hear the heart behind the name calling. Name calling is always a strategy that hides the truth, protects it, because the truth is so vulnerable.
Mm-hmm.
Saying you're so cheap is much easier to do than saying, you know, I really want to celebrate this relationship. Okay?
Okay.
Go for it.
Okay, so Roger, Sunday's coming up. Where are we going to dinner?
Oh, just the usual.
Are you serious? You're so cheap. It's Valentine's Day.
I'm so cheap. I'm just taking a moment because that took me aback a little bit. You were hoping for something different this weekend
Yeah.
to kind of celebrate and do something more exciting,
Yeah, it's Valentine's Day.
right?
So before you continue, first of all, I just want to say I'm appreciating what it took to kind of like take that in, have a reaction to it, walk your way through the reaction quickly to be able to meet her. And then you did it, and I'm just curious to hear from you. What was the effect of that on you?
I still was feeling a little bit angry, but at least I felt like he understood what was happening for me.
Mm-hmm. So was there any way, even a small way, in which it was diffusing the tension in you?
Yeah, yeah.
Because the other one, when you go the ping pong name calling, it escalates.
Yeah.
This one wasn't escalating.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's true.
Okay, let's continue. See what happens next.
So yeah, you just wanted something more, something special, something that would be a celebration of the relationship.
Yeah.
Right. I guess I'm feeling a little bit embarrassed or something, because I just didn't think about that for the evening. I just figured, we had other plans and I just hadn't extended it. And so I'm feeling kind of embarrassed, not realizing, how much this meant to you or something like that, And how is it for you to hear me say that?
I feel a little bit embarrassed for my reaction. I thought I kind of had assumed you knew it was Valentine's Day and that you knew it was important to me.
Right.
And so that's why I was upset by your reaction.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm open to talking about something different. I guess I don't get as excited about Valentine's Day as you, so I realize I'm not in exactly the same place as you are, but I'm open to talking about it some more now that you've brought it up.
Okay. I appreciate that.
Yeah, so this statement that you just made is, I want to highlight it because, not specifically about Valentine's or whatever, but the willingness to hold the reality that different people, different things are important to them or primary, and that the point is not to change somebody's mind, either to be convinced by her that Valentine is important, or for her to be convinced by you that what's the big deal, it's just a Sunday. But to kind of like work with both. How can we do something that will support both of us? So that's where I saw you walking towards. So let's go back, take a moment to see what else stands out from this situation, and then we'll take a moment break. Anything else that you want to share about what this was like, or what you learned from it, or what you want the viewers to get out of it?
Just being reminded, I was reminded playing the role of how, what a huge urge there is to just defend my viewpoint as the correct viewpoint and to ridicule the viewpoint of the other person, even if the other person is someone I'm in relationship with.
Yeah.
So.
And how costly then that becomes to the quality of connection and intimacy in the relationship when that is the norm. It kind of like corrodes the goodwill.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how about you?
For me, I was so touched by Roger's willingness to hear me, to hear what was underneath my outburst, and just kind of talk me through it. And it felt like a huge gift. Really, I was really touched.
Yeah, there's a way in which these conversations about, break in intimacy actually become their own occasion for more intimacy. If we can walk through them towards connection, they become an example of intimacy. So we're going to take a break now, and when we come back, we're going to have a different scenario with Mark and Jenna, and it's going to be called I'm Not in the Mood.
I am craving flying with the raven, 'cause she takes me between the two worlds. She's got magic in her dark wings, and in her heart lies the blue pearl. I am hungry, and I've got some honey, and it feels good in my mouth. But Mama needs some loving and communion, but I'm left hanging too far south.
Hi, welcome back to the Conflict Hotline. And in a second, we're going to go to our next scenario. And in the meantime, if you would like to join us, you can call 510-848-5483. And so we're going to go to our next scenario, and it's called I'm Not in the Mood. And again, featuring Jenna and Mark.
Well, don't look at me like that.
What?
You've totally got the bedroom on the brain.
What's the problem with that?
Well, you know, I'm just not in the mood, really, that's all.
You're never in the mood.
What do you mean I am never in the mood?
You aren't. It's ridiculous.
You're just like generalizing and accusing and what, you think that's going to get me in the mood?
Thank
Nothing.
you. Thank you. I cannot imagine that if this conversation continues, that either one of you is going to get what you want. Again, similar to what happened before. If you are thinking you want to get to be sexual with each other, this is not going to get you there.
Yeah.
And if you think that you want to get some relief and peace of mind and quiet and a sense of respect for your space, that's not you're not going to get that either. So the question is, what do we do when there's a situation that has somewhat of a high charge and intensity, which usually anything that involves sexuality has, and where you're not in the same place? That involves a great deal of willingness to non-attachment to outcome is really important in this situation, because if, let's say, if you want to be sexual, and I'm not even saying that you do, maybe he's just reading into it, I don't know, we'll find that out, but let's say that you do. If you want to be sexual and you have an attachment to it, it becomes a demand on him, and then there's less room for him to engage his own autonomy, and then it's harder for him to say yes. Even if there was any part of him that wanted it, if he doesn't have a sense that he has choice in the matter, it's not going to go anywhere. And conversely, if you are like completely dead set on she's got to go away, she's going to keep coming back because there isn't going to be space for her. So our goal here is not to be sexual or not be sexual. Our goal is to find a way to move wherever it is that we're moving in partnership, in collaboration.
All right.
So she stretched first last time.
That's
Are you
right.
ready to stretch first this time?
I guess so. As long as I can keep my clothes on.
We'll work on that. I think after all you're safe because it's TV.
Okay, good. That's right. Don't give me that look. You're giving me that look.
What? What look?
You know what look. You've totally got the bedroom on your mind.
So what's the problem with you're never in the mood.
Oh, hold on. Hold on. Okay, I want to just tell you what's actually going on with me. Is that something you'd be open to hearing?
Yeah.
I just know that recently we haven't had much of a connection, and I'm totally nervous that if we were to try and be sexual or anything, I'd have to be totally faking it and not be at all authentic, because I just can't get past the fact that there hasn't been an easy connection with us lately at all. And anyway, I don't know, I've said a lot. Can you just tell me back what you're getting from what I'm saying? See if I'm making sense.
Yeah, I think what I'm hearing you say is that because we haven't really been getting along very well lately, it's hard for you to imagine us being intimate and for you being authentic in that space.
Right, that's true. And I was assuming that you were wanting that, and I want to know what's actually going on with you really right now.
I was at first, but then as soon as you responded, I just felt really frustrated because I agree we haven't been getting along, and I just want us to be close, and have a nice time. And I thought that might help.
Yeah.
So I want to pause here and just check with each of you. How are you feeling compared to how the previous conversation was going?
I'm feeling sad rather than pissed off, angry.
Mm-hmm. And how is that for you?
Well, we're not fighting, and it's a relief to just be telling the truth and to be breaking out of the pattern of, like, we're connecting now, I guess, about this. So.
Yeah. And in my experience, when there's disconnection, it almost doesn't matter what you connect about. Even if you connect about one thing, once there is a sense of connection, it can percolate into the other areas that may have been the source of previous tension. Just the connection itself feeds everything, and so I'm appreciating what you just said. How about for you?
Yeah, I had that experience exactly because I did want to be intimate, but it was just for connection, and so I kind of feel like I'm getting, I feel sad, but I feel a lot softer toward him, and I feel like I'm getting what I wanted, which is a real connection.
Yeah. So, now I have a sense that for you, it's not about how you respond to him, it's even before. I'm getting a sense, and I want to check with you if it's true, that it's scary to express directly what you want. And so there is some way that it feels safer to indirectly send a signal. Is that true?
Yeah, and it feels safer to indirectly send the signal that I want to have sex as opposed to that I really just want to be close.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that happens often, that we get these kind of mixed signals, that there's something that is safer and easier to express or show, such as even anger compared to sadness is for many people easier to show. So there's something about showing the vulnerability that gets you the connection much faster, and yet it's so scary. So do you imagine that you might be up for showing it right away?
Sure, I'll try.
Okay. Let's watch.
Okay. So I was wondering if I could talk to you for a minute. Do you have a minute?
Sure.
I miss the closeness that we've had, and I know that lately we've not really been getting along very well, and I'm wondering what your experience has been of our relationship recently.
My experience is that you've been either on my case or ignoring me completely, and flying off the handle about stuff completely unexpectedly, and
So you don't. So it sounds like we have a similar experience of the relationship, that there's just not been a lot of connection.
Well, you could put it that way, yeah.
And it's really scary for me to say this because I feel really vulnerable. But I want to have connection, and I want us to be close, and I don't know how to do that. And I'm wondering if maybe we could, if you're willing to talk with me about that possibility.
While you are wondering, I just want to say that what you're doing is one of the most courageous things that I know that human beings can do. Because I didn't interpret his response as being super receptive to you.
Yeah.
And you persisted in the place of vulnerability to keep showing your heart in the hope of reaching him, instead of giving up and saying, oh, well, you don't want to connect, then forget it. I'm not going to keep trying. And I just want to check in with you. What gave you the strength to keep doing that?
I think before I started talking, I really connected to how important it was to me. And that just, that became the most important thing.
Yeah. And I am also curious on your end. On the surface, you're holding some line of, I'm not yet here. But I'm curious if deep inside something in you is being touched.
Yeah, it's both. I'm not suddenly trusting that everything's changed, and I'm still harboring a lot of resentments from earlier unresolved conflicts. So I'm not all gooey all of a sudden, but this is unarguably a totally different experience than what we've been having recently. So.
Yeah. And yet I noticed that in no way did you let her see that anything was going on for you.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm curious if you have a willingness to show her even a little bit of an inch
I think I was. I mean, I was in some ways I was showing actually, because I was showing that I'm still annoyed and resentful about things that have been happening. So I'm showing that. And in this moment when you jumped in, I was just. I think I'd been stopped in my tracks. Like I couldn't just keep on with the strength of kind of blame really and judgment. It wasn't coming as easily now to me. I was having to take a breath and work out what was actually happening. So, yeah.
So there was an absence of hostility in you.
Right.
And you would wish for that to register in her as encouragement for her efforts.
If I was in my right mind, perhaps, or if I was particularly present with myself, yeah, for sure.
Because one of the sad things is that we don't often give each other encouragement about the monumental, heroic efforts that we make to reach across the barriers of accumulated mistrust to recreate intimacy. And I have a sense that if there was even a little bit that you could give her, it would make her work so much easier, and it would get both of you back on track faster.
Okay.
So,
I can try.
Thank you. So keep going. Maybe he will encourage you this time.
Okay. And so I think what I was saying was that I really want to work toward being more connected, and I'm wondering if you'd be willing to talk with me about that.
Yeah, I am willing, and I'm glad that you're bringing it up like this, because one of us has got to bring it up. We can't just keep on going the way we've been going.
Yeah.
Thank you. In this moment, when you said this, you created togetherness. You named a piece of truth, there was appreciation, and she knows that there is some piece, however small, on which you stand together. Did that give you that sense?
Yeah.
It's like hugely easier to now keep trusting that there can be something that will happen here.
Yeah.
Just from that little acknowledgement. Was that hard to do?
Mm-hmm. But it was both
what?
hard and also sort of strangely alien but enjoyable at the same time.
Thank you. Let's sit down and digest what happened here. So, and then we'll take another break. So, what did you get from this time?
I really liked it. I liked the second time. I just felt so much more present and in the relationship. You know, when we were fighting, we were so disconnected, and we were fighting about the disconnection, and it was just creating more it just didn't even make sense. So this just made so much sense to step into the relationship and say, here I am. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was great.
Mm-hmm. How about you? What stands out to you? What did you learn?
I think I learned that it would be good for you to move into wherever I live, you know, with whoever I'm living with, and just any time there's disconnection, you can just pop up and, you know, stop things and coach us through those moments. So
I live in so many people's homes already. I keep hearing from people that they have a little version of me standing on their shoulders.
Right.
And they ask themselves, what would Mickey say here? Of course, they don't know what I actually say in my own relationships. It's much easier to coach other people than to live your own relationship.
Right, yeah. Yeah, but there is something about that. It's like realizing the difficulty of finding a different voice, the little Mickey voice or whatever, when you're in the middle of that.
It would be much better for it to be the little you voice, the real, the real you.
And it is a little voice, though. Sometimes the other one is a bigger voice, the voice of annoyance and frustration and resentment. Yeah,
because we have our habits are long-standing, and the new learning that we acquire takes time and effort for that to integrate and practice.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to take another break, and when we come back from the break, you can call us again. You can even call us during the break at 510-848-5483. And we'll come back to a scenario called You're Wearing That?
Self-love as a habit, 'cause you sure can't get that from no one else. So I hang out my diseases, I can cure them good as Jesus. When I find my own true self, well, that makes people nervous, but I do it nonetheless, 'cause I think it's what we came here for. We came to breathe in the air, invoke the water, honor the earth, burn in the fire, breathe in the air, invoke the water, honor the earth, burn in the fire.
Hi, welcome back to the Conflict Hotline. You can call us if you want to join this show at 510-848-5483. And we are here working with scenarios from our experience of working with people and from callers. Hopefully somebody will be calling us today. And in the meantime, our next scenario is called You're Wearing That, and it features Malcolm and Tina.
Ready to go?
You're wearing that?
Oh. You don't like it?
No, you look terrible.
But I was in there like for ages pulling out things that I thought you'd like, and
We're going to a nice restaurant.
I know, but this, I mean, these are my best pants and everything.
This isn't gonna work. You need to put something else on.
Oh God, I'm just sick of it, you know. Like I'm doing my best, you know, Tina, and we'll probably be late and everything if I start looking for something else.
Well, I don't know why you wore this in the first place. I mean,
Thank you. You're feeling pretty hopeless.
Yeah, well, you know, what's wrong with it? I don't see anything that's wrong with it. It's nice, it's beige. Beige is nice, you know. Just, she wants someone who's all sparkly or something, I don't know.
So you want some acceptance for who you are.
Well, that would be novel. That would be very novel, yeah. You know. It's all right though, I can just change it, you know. I'll just go and find something else. I'll find one of those things that she's bought for me that I don't particularly like to wear.
So you want acceptance and you don't have a whole lot of hope that you can get it.
I don't even look for it, really.
Mm-hmm. Just kind of like trying to cope.
Yeah, it's just, you know, it's going to be something else and something else. So you just roll with the punches and get on with it. You know.
Yeah. Thank you. And for you, I'm just wondering if you know how hard it is inside for Malcolm.
no. Just hearing this, I felt very sad.
Because he's never shared this with you.
No.
He's just like busy trying to comply.
Yeah.
So what would you like to tell him?
In this
Moment,
oh.
now having heard all this, what would you like to tell him?
Well, I hadn't thought about it the way what you said about complying, and I guess on some level I appreciate it because it feels like it's from a place of care. But on another level, I want to really know what's happening for you, and I don't want I mean, I don't want to fight about it, but I want to have a conversation. I don't want you to just do whatever I say.
So I want to check with you on a deeper
Yeah.
level. You want to have a conversation, but in the end, you want him to do what you want.
Yes, but I want him to feel happy about it.
Okay, let's pause for a second, because how many of us have found ourselves in this place? I want to be in conversation about it, let's talk about it, but ultimately you're going to do what I want.
Yes.
That's it.
And so then, from his perspective, why bother having a conversation?
Sure.
If the conversation has no chance of changing the outcome, then why have it?
Right.
So the question is there anything in this context, anything that you can imagine that Malcolm could do that would create openness in you for any shift?
Maybe, maybe we could talk about why I don't like it, and why I would prefer what I would prefer, and
So there's some way, it looks to me like neither one of you really understands what's important to the other.
yeah,
And that is what happens in so many relationships, that people have conversations, or they bicker, or they fight, or they argue, or they even divorce without really understanding what's important to each other. So I'd like maybe to see if you could try sharing with each other, what is it that is really important to you about your choice of what you wear or not wear, or what you want him to wear or not wear. And somehow I have an intuitive sense that it would be better to hear from Malcolm first, because he just doesn't have any faith that he can be heard. Are you open to hearing from him?
yes.
Well, I don't particularly like to stand out, that's all. You know, that's not comfortable for me, and that's not what I'm about. I'm just wanting to be there with you, and I'm not trying to attract any attention or trying to prove a point or anything. You know, that's not, I don't care about clothes particularly, you know.
Is this news to you?
Yeah.
And you've been
sweet.
together 4 years,
Yeah.
and you never knew this.
Yeah.
It amazes me how often that happens, that people are together for so long, and some really deep core things they don't know about each other because they never create the space for those conversations to happen.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering if you have a sense that you know why it's important for her that you wear certain things.
I don't know, like, she wants me to look successful so she can feel better about herself or something.
So, see, I don't think that's the truth. But if this is what he thinks, in other words, if he hears your request through his judgments of you, his willingness to do what you want is going to be very small. He might do what you want, but without willingness, and then resentment builds. So tell him what it is.
Well, for me, I guess this seemed like a special occasion, and so I wanted to kind of honor it by us dressing up a little fancier than we do. You know, we're going out, it's going to be a nice night. It elevates the event to me when we dress up. And it seems like an easy way to make kind of an ordinary event extraordinary, I guess.
That is different from what you thought, isn't it?
Somewhat, I still don't really understand it, but it's different than what I was thinking.
Okay, and if he doesn't understand it, that gives you an opportunity to bridge the gap between you, because you said earlier that one of the things that are important for you is for him to really get what's important to you and why.
Yeah.
But you've never told him.
Right.
So many of us want to be seen and known without showing or sharing. And then blame the other person for not understanding us when we've never really taken the time, effort, and energy to share who we are.
I guess I just sort of thought we all,
same.
you know, feel that way.
Everyone's like you.
Well, about that thing, yes. Maybe other things as well, but you know, this is what we're talking about.
So there is something, I'm imagining there could be in this moment something precious for both of you about a little bit being known and a little bit discovering each other. Yeah?
Yeah.
And that's the power of revealing, that you can create those bridges. And over time, if you do it, this fight can stop.
I'm starting to get a feeling in this moment, actually, of allowing in the possibility that whether I think it's right or wrong, when she's doing what she's calling dressing up and I'm dressing up as well, that she has a different feeling that she enjoys, even if I don't know anything about it and I don't feel it particularly. But I just noticed myself willing to allow in the possibility that that's what's going on over there, and so there was a little willingness then to like, oh, and I could contribute to that.
Yeah.
But it's only because she's disclosed this much that I've even suddenly got that glimmer.
Yeah. Thank you. I'm really appreciating this feedback, because this is the magic of kind of like opening the little doors of the heart and sharing. Yeah. Let's sit down. So, any insights for you? He already shared this amazing experience. Any insight for you?
Well, if he's going to dress up, that's where I would want it to come from.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm so appreciative to know that I can contribute to him contributing to me. You know, it's like we're both doing something. It's not just him doing what I want.
Right. There is some way in which we can learn to support other people in supporting us, and then there's partnership.
Yeah.
Then we actually have more power to create what we want with other people, instead of trying to kind of like make them do it or give up on it happening. Anything else you want to add before we close this?
Well, just that to continue that loop, it's like to have it recognized that this is a stretch, that this is me going outside of my comfort zone, and I'm doing it as a gift, as a contribution, like to actually have that recognized and acknowledged, as opposed to, you know, just expected or something like that, is a totally different experience.
Yeah. Thank you. Let's take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll change pace. And we'll do some quick one-liners of how to deal with things that might come at you that you don't know where they might come from. Okay.
And I honored the earth, and I burned in the fire. I breathe in the air, I invoke the water. I honored the earth, and I burned in the fire. Breathe in the air, invoke the water, honor the earth, burn in the fire. Breathe in the air, invoke the water, honor the earth, burn in the fire. I am craving.
Hi, welcome back to the Conflict Hotline. And right now we're going to do the one-liner hard-to-hear messages feature of this show. And I'll give you the honor to pick one. And then she will say it to you?
No, I'll say it to her.
You'll say it to her, okay.
I translate.
And then you first tell us what reaction you have to it.
Your problem is that you are never happy.
If you were unhappy before, now you're for sure unhappy.
Right. Yeah, the first thing that came up for me actually was if that's what you think, you don't know me at all. Mm-hmm. So I felt really closed and completely disconnected and, yeah.
Okay. So, what do you think is going on for him?
It seems like maybe he's disappointed that I'm not happier about whatever's happening right now.
So what does he want?
I think he probably wants appreciation for something.
Okay, let's try it out. Say it again. Ask him if that's what he wants, and let's see.
Your problem is that you are never happy.
Are you feeling disappointed?
What
And
is it-
wanting appreciation?
Well, that would be nice. Yeah.
Did that feel like a better way to be received?
It takes the steam out of things a little bit.
Yeah. And now, how about you? Can you imagine a different way of expressing it? More directly, more authentically?
It would be very similar. It would be, I'm just so disappointed that I did this, and I was so hoping that you'd appreciate it, but it seems like you're not enjoying it at all. That would be my first.
Wouldn't that be easier to hear?
Yeah.
All right, your turn.
Have this one. I dropped one on the floor.
Okay. How could you do this to me?
What do you do with that one?
How could I do this to her? Well, it's bringing up a lot of defensiveness, that's for sure.
Yeah.
And
So can you climb to the other side of defensiveness and imagine what could be going on inside of her as she's saying it?
I think she's probably just feeling some kind of confusion or disbelief even, and
What does she want deep down?
what she wants, I'm guessing, is some sort of care or consideration, something like that.
Check it out with her.
You want to say it again?
How could you do this to me?
Are you just really kind of feeling upset and wanting a sense that I'm caring for you right now?
Yeah, I don't even understand why you're doing this.
How was that to hear? Did that have a sense that he was coming towards you?
Yeah. Yeah. I felt like he understood that I was in a lot of pain.
And if you were to express that directly instead of accusing him, what would you say?
I think I'd say I'm so sad because this isn't what I expected at all, and I was really wanting more consideration.
And that would probably be easier to hear. Thank you.
Thanks.
Just little tidbits of familiar sentences and ways of diffusing them. So we're coming to the end of the show, and I'm curious, as you review all that we did today, what stands out to you?
I just am so excited about the possibility of relationship that is so much more connected, in the examples that we did earlier today. That possibility seems really exciting.
And what's the feature that you imagine could help that deeper connection?
Well, for me, I think it really was just opening up and being more vulnerable about what's actually happening inside of me.
How about you?
I guess, this sounds a little corny as I say it, but it's something about being reminded that the being in a relationship kind of there's a lot of potential to kind of get clear on what's going on with you, with oneself,
Just seeing the potential for self-learning that all these conflicts
Right.
show.
Even in the midst of the least enjoyable moments, there's something that I can stop and learn in the moment about myself.
And for me, what I am living with coming out of this show is the poignancy of how simple it is on the deepest level, and how much we hide and run away from the deepest level and create so much complexity and so much distance. So I'm wishing for all our viewers to have more willingness to reveal. And I want to say, if you were intrigued by what you saw here today and you'd like to learn how you can apply these kinds of principles in your own life, visit our website at www.baynvc.org. And if you are living far away from the Bay Area, you might also check out the NVC Academy at nvctraining.com, for where you can learn nonviolent communication from home. And we are always really eager to receive feedback and any suggestions for scenarios from you. So please write to us at conflicthotline@baynvc.org. And thank you for Newt, and thank you for Itzel for so graciously participating and changing roles and making up all these things on the fly and improvising and flowing with it. And to our crew, again, everybody is volunteering, and I have so much gratitude for people contributing to the possibility of so many people having free access to learning in this way. And I invite you to join us next month on the first Thursday at 7:30 p.m. at the time and place. Good night.
And the next breath is for all the people who can relate to me and you. You cannot see eye to eye. Won't you step up with me and try? Drop the fences down, find the common ground, and take a deep breath. I am here to love you. I am here to free